As we enter into this service today, this more than any service we do all year long is for you. Because it's for each of us to determine what we want to let go. As we move into this new decade and new year. And we're going to simply today go through some triggers maybe for you, but be listening inside for what is yours to do. We've added another event to today, which I'm really excited about. So we'll have the whole burning bowl ceremony, and we'll go through that. And before we do that, we will also include the Native American spiritual practice of smudging. And if anyone has sensitivity to that, it'll be at the end of the offering, so you'll be able to go outside if you'd like. They will also be outside to smudge, if those of you who want to do the burning bowl and then also smudge. And we're adding this year the labyrinth, which is now just, I don't know how many of you have been down to see what's happened to the labyrinth, but it's amazing what folks have done for it. And I'm going to teach a very quick, easy Thich Nhat Hanh walking meditation using our gel, Grace, Ease, and Light, which is what kind of our theme as we go into 2020. So it's a full day. Participate as much as you want in the process. I can tell you, for me personally, this is one of the most powerful services we do all year. And again, it's all about you. What do you want to let go? What do you want to clear up as you move into this brand new year? 6,000 years ago, Job was told this: but there is a spirit within all men and women. It's the breath of the Almighty that gives us understanding. And we started in this process last week with version 3.0, where we're getting more and more connected with the Spirit within each of us. And learning to listen for that breath that brings understanding. If you notice, 6,000 years ago, Job never said, I'm supposed to understand. He said the understanding flows through us. And part of this process today in this service is releasing anything within you, your consciousness, which is standing in the way of hearing this all wisdom understanding that will flow through you. Again, then in Proverbs it said the spirit of you and I are the candle of the Almighty. So this whole notion of light flowing through us and love flowing through us goes way back 6,000 years ago. And that's part of this whole process. We left the 12 spiritual power candles up for those that weren't here on Christmas Eve. It's again another process to bring back to us and remind us every year. We have these spiritual powers, these 12 within our consciousness, which is part of the cleansing process, so that we can be a brighter light into the world. The master teacher Jesus said this then later in Luke, 2,000 years ago. And I use this all the time because one of the spiritual practices that I've seen missing is the whole notion of learning to clean the wineskin. If you ever do any study of the society back then, if you had wine in the wineskin and didn't cleanse it, didn't cure it, when you go to pour new wine in, it just burst everywhere. So part of this word cleansing here means also curing, getting it so it's supple again to receive something new. And it says here, no one puts new wine is metaphysically interpreted as spirit, into a wineskin or our old consciousness. If they do, the new wine will burst the skins and it will be spilled, and the skins will be destroyed. But new wine must always be put into fresh wineskin. And I see this service today as the opportunity for you and I to cleanse our wineskin. I would use consciousness for wineskin, or your energy field, your aura, whatever fits in your language that you use. But it's the process of cleaning that so we open up for more new comes in. That's how we move up the energy vortex that we've been talking about for the last year. So it looks like this. We have to clean the wineskin, otherwise it bursts if we try to bring new in. Releasing what you don't want from your consciousness. We know that we live from our consciousness. So if something's showing up in our lives that we don't want, we got to go back to where the cause is, and the cause is what we're holding in our beliefs and our attitudes, our thoughts and emotions within ourselves. And that's what today's all about. An opportunity to be quiet, sit down, and just ask. You don't have to do it from the finite mind. Connect to the divine wisdom. What do I need to let go of? What do I need to change so that when I go into 2020, something different occurs than it has been? This is making new room for a new infusion of spirit, a new way to hold our highest and best good, possibly. And that's what I think this whole journey is for all of us. We're here, wherever we are, on the journey, and we're looking for the next level of highest and best good. One of our co-founders, Myrtle Fillmore, and I love that she was just kind of the very practical one. She didn't get all caught up in abstract thoughts. She said, well, get out the spiritual broom and clean it up. Get out the cobwebs. Get out the dust. Get out the stuff that's not serving you, because it's the old negative habits, she said, that keep us asleep to our highest good. We have to awaken to what is the next highest good for us. Otherwise, we're going to do 2020 is going to be a repeat of 2019. Unless we do this, whatever that work is for each and every one of us, to find the way to go to the next place. So what habits are they talking about? This is one of my memory things that I keep for myself is no more J in the 4 C's. So what in the world is he talking about there? No more judgment, no more condemning, criticizing, complaining, or comparing. Why? Because the minute you and I do that, it shuts down spirit. Spirit will not come in a judging, criticizing, condemning, complaining environment. Simply won't. It's so foreign from the purity that it just won't show. I will say, we don't do confessionals in Unity, but here's one from me. This, for me, is one of the hardest practices. My family of origin, judging and condemning and criticizing, complaining was part of the process. It's how I was trained from 0 to 7. We know scientifically what's happened before 7 and 8 years old is our habits. They're in our subconscious. These are the old habits I think that Myrtle Fillmore was talking about. Get the broom, we got to clean those out. How do you do that? You first make awareness and then set an intention. In 2020, I'm going to do a lot less of this. I'm not at a place yet where I can say I'm going to do none of it, because that just wouldn't even feel authentic at this moment. But it's steps, small steps, to the next place to move that. And this is a good place to release this on those little pieces of paper that you got in the bulletin. And if you need more, they're pretty tiny. Some people need 4 and 5. It's okay. And there's some in the back if you do. But more than anything, it's a symbol of writing it down and setting the intention to release it, and then watching it burn up in the fire sends a very powerful message to the subconscious that you truly are letting go, releasing and letting it go. What else are we talking about? Forgiveness. Oh, here he goes again with that forgiveness stuff. 70 times 7 is a lot, isn't it? That means always, continually, forever. It's a process. It's like, well, I forgave that person, but you're still holding a charge against them. Or a group of people. Or a church. Or whatever it might be, whatever you're holding a charge against is held against you in your subconscious. This has also been part of my journey, and I can tell you it's the most empowering process if you stay with it. If you're willing to play big this year and say, I'm truly going to forgive everyone and everybody for everything. Now, does that mean it won't come back? No, we go around that mountain many times, depending how deep the hurt is, or depending how deep we're holding on to the trauma. It may show up. You know, my saying for my coaching, emotions buried alive never die. They show up in another pair of shoes. Right? We've all seen that. We've experienced it. Why? Because we didn't forgive it. It's still down in that Pandora's box that we hold that no one can ever look in, including ourselves. We keep the lid shut. Open up Pandora's box today. Let it out. I'm willing to forgive and let go of everyone, everything, no matter where. And see what happens. Only that which I release can be released from within me. Really important statement. Only that what you and I can release gets released from us. Anything that I or you hold on to is held against me, but not by God. There is no condemnation or judgment. It's only the condemnation and judgment that we hold on ourselves. So we have to let it go. We have to release it. Otherwise, it stays part of our consciousness. It stays part of our energy. It stays part of our beliefs, emotions, and thoughts. Whatever you and I release, we are released from. What you cling to is what binds you and puts you into bondage. Freedom comes from releasing everything and everyone. You and I are our own liberators. There is no judgment or condemnation in the universe but what you and I hold within our own minds. And this process allows you today, put it down. Put the person's name down. Even if it hurts, put it down. Especially if it does. You know, I've had so many people, my spiritual coaching will say, well, you don't understand, Reverend Dan. I'll never forgive that person for whatever, and here's a whole list. Who's in bondage? That other person's off living their life, having a good time, paying no mind. But who's bound in the emotional bondage? You and I. And it's in the process of forgiveness, which is a great way to do it today, is burn it up and release it and let it go. I forgive you for me. Forgiveness is about me. It's about you, not the other person. The other person's off doing their thing. But it's what we hold ourselves in bondage to. It doesn't allow us to go to the next level. In spirit is liberty, we've been told by the master teacher. If we're not in liberty, if we're not in free, that's because we are binding ourselves to someone or something. And it's in the letting go that freedom comes, and we can walk free. Forgive everyone and everything. Do you have the courage today to do that? It takes one step in a journey. But it takes setting intention to say, I'm not going to hold anything against anyone, anybody, or God. Cast all your anxieties on where? On the I am or the Christ consciousness within you. Who's anxious today? Why are you carrying it? Be anxious for nothing. If we're picking up anxiety about anything, we are taking spirit away. Spirit will not come in an environment of anxiety. Spirit will not come in an environment of fear. Write it down. It's my intention to release it and let it go, whatever I'm holding in fear, worry, anxiety. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. You're starting to see where we're getting GEL, easy and light, for 2020. Living in grace with ease and light. That's what you and I are to live our lives as. And if anything's coming against that's holding you in bondage that you aren't, now's a good day to let it go. so that you can head into 2020 with perfect vision. What is the yoke? I mean, we know what the oxen yoke is. But what happens when oxen are yoked? They're not free, right? They're like stuck in that place. Well, our yoke through Spirit is easy. It's living in grace. It's light. And if we're not living there, then there's something wrong, and that's what we want to release today so that we can move into a place of grace, ease, and light. Why do we use fire? Fire, metaphysically, according to Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, says is the Word of God in us. It burns out the dross, the negativity of negative consciousness that we may be holding, and reveals the Christ. Here's a key point I think it's really important, because sometimes we're out there looking for Christ consciousness. And what Charles taught, what Jesus taught, and what most of the enlightened human beings have taught, the teachers, is that the Christ, the light and love is already within us. It's the center. What we have, it is surrounded with the dross. We have it surrounded with the negativity that we're holding out of our subconscious and our beliefs, and our thoughts and our feelings. And what he's saying here, fire helps that, symbolizes to the subconscious to release that so that we can walk free. And when we begin to walk free, what comes out? More light, more love. No other human being has more of the Christ within them than you do. No one. Nada. Some people may have gotten rid of more of the dross or the negativity that surrounds it. And that's again what this practice is today, to be able to do that. This was an old saying that was long, I think even back into Egypt they used, release the hurts and habits of the past. You know that no longer serve you, to make room for your greater good yet to come. That's our job, yours and mine. Make room for greater good. Because we know Spirit is only good. And as we make more room for more Spirit to flow out of us, what's going to happen? We're going to see more good show up in our consciousness, which then shows up in our lives, manifests in our lives. So here's the process that we're going to go through today. You've got that flash paper in your bulletin. I'm going to ask you to go inside and ask the divine, what do I need to release and let go to clean my consciousness? Clean your wineskin today. Don't come from here. Come from here. Ask the divine. It will always be right. So we don't have to guess. We just need to listen. Ask and listen. We've been promised that that's what would happen. We would be told. Ask yourself, and ask for the divine guidance, is there habits that I need to release? Am I locked in judging and condemning and criticizing, complaining and comparing? If so, do you want to set that intention? I want to release that today and move into something different. Who and what do you need to forgive? And please ask this question, what do I need to forgive about myself? Because that's where we hold the most charge against. What from the past are you bringing up and keep making it part of what you're doing in this precious moment, the now? Let it go. Forgive yourself. Are you holding on to any guilt or shame from the past? Another place. Guilt and shame is what we stuff into Pandora's box. Put a lock on it and say, nobody, including me, is ever going to look there again. But until we clean that out, it's part of the subconscious. It's part of our consciousness. Let the light come in and let the light dissipate any of this. Am I practicing habits of fear, anxiety, or worry? Reverend Dan, you said it's a practice. It's a habit. It is. There is absolutely no fear, no anxiety, or worry in spirit, in God. None. And if you're practicing that on a daily basis, it's your habitual practice. And it will hold you in bondage. You cannot be free till you release it. Release the fears, release the anxieties. There's a perfect divine plan for your life. And for all of us collectively, do you trust that enough to stop this human habit? Fear, anxiety, worry about anything needs to go for you to be free. So write this on the paper, what you want to release and let go, and when you're ready to move outside, we're going to have the fire burning and you'll be able to see it burn up and release it from there. So that's the process. This is one of the scriptures that has really spoke to me this past year. We see through glass darkly now, but God or Spirit will clear things up. And I look at it two ways. One is my spiritual eyes. I'm looking out through darkness and I'm watching appearances and don't see truth, is one way. The other way, if the glass is dark, the light within you and I, the Christ light within you and I, cannot emanate very far for others to see and feel. So as we clean up this glass darkly, the darkly glass is part of what this process is today. To allow the light to be much brighter and to shine for each and every one of us. And collectively as a community at Unity at Harrisburg. As I said, I'm going to teach a very simple walking meditation. If it's raining too hard to do this Sunday, we'll do it next Sunday. But it's a very powerful process. So once we do the cleansing and the smudging, then we'll move down. I'll be down at the labyrinth. Very easy to teach, but very, very powerful. So if you can today, make yourself available to that process. It's a wonderful spiritual tool after we do the cleansing process today. And that's what it's going to be. Grace, ease, and light are going to be the words that we're going to use as we move into 2020. I like this affirmation. It sits on my desk, and I wanted to share it with you. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And for me, glory is the light within shining so that everyone can feel and see what's coming from us, that's emanating from us, as this power and this presence flows from us out into the whole world. So what we're going to do is go to a meditation, and we'll take the offering, and then I'm going to ask, we have three wonderful women are going to come up and do the smudging. If you are sensitive to sage, at that time, if you want, you can leave into the foyer or whatever. And as soon as they finish, they're going to walk through. They're going to be outside where the fire will be. When you're ready, you can take your paper out to do that. And they will also have sage available. For me personally, I like to let go of that. Then I want to be smudged all over because it releases anything that we're holding in our energy bodies. So if that's something you want to participate in, be part of, and then from there, I'm going to be down at the labyrinth, and we'll finish up the day. We have no fellowship hall today because we want this to be a time of quiet. Release it, let it go, see the smoke go, and let us walk together as a community into 2020 with a lot of this dross, this negativity gone. Okay? Okay, can we get a meditation, please? Let's take a couple deep breaths. As a master teacher, Jesus taught, is look up with your spiritual eyes. Looking up helps you connect with the light. And the divine love flows through us, through our minds, into our hearts. And it's in the stillness that we can hear the divine guidance, the wisdom. So as we enter in this process, just get connected with the stillness within you. What do I need to release in habits and let them go? Or who or what do I need to forgive? Or what about myself? Am I holding any guilt and shame? I'm going to let it go today. No more. Am I going to carry that? One of the things I do with forgiveness with this process is I ask forgiveness for my belief in two powers, in duality. There are times when I forget there's only one, and it's only good. Ask, believe, and you will receive.